What's up, my friends? Welcome back to the Tears Take. I am recapping the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16 reunion part 1. Overall, this reunion fell flat, but if you have watched some of my other videos, you are aware that this whole season kind of fell flat for me. So I guess it tracks, right? It's on brand for this season anyway. I'm going to take you all through just some of the main highlights, give you my thoughts along the way, but I do want to hear from you. So please leave your thoughts and comments down below. Please like and subscribe if you were rocking with me and want to support, and I would greatly appreciate it. Let's go ahead and dive in. So the first thing that caught my eye in this reunion was, we see the backstage first and everyone getting glam and getting ready. And Kelly has her glam squad in t-shirts that says Kelly's Glam. I said, come on, Kelly. This is why you're a housewife. I appreciated a petty, silly, housewifey moment like that. So I appreciated that. We see Porsha still asleep at 8:30 a.m. I said, oh, girl, wake up. Like, what do you mean? Phaedra realizes Brit is missing. The girls come out 2.5 hours late on stage. Andy's better than me because we know he wasn't waiting on stage for 2.5 hours. But TikTok, no, I would have canceled it. I would have been like, y'all, this was a raggedy season anyway, and I don't need to do this. I would have canceled it. But anyway, women come out on stage 2.5 hours late to get things started. So they go through all of the greetings. Porsha got new boobs. Kelly brought a crystal. Shamia is just happy to be there. I said, all right. So Andy says that Brit is not coming. Kelly says that, she plays victim and villain at the same time. Clock it. Good job, Kelly. And, they all basically kind of chirped in and shared their thoughts on Brit not coming to the reunion. So the newbies talk about their experience on the show. Shamia, again, is just happy to be in the forefront and giving more of her personality and her perspective on things. And Shamia leads the group in prayer. Andy asks them if they have any intentions, and Porsha says, we just want to honor who we are and step up to the plate with truth. I said, do you know what that is? Porsha, I'm not playing with you today. So Cynthia comes out really early. Cynthia came out in after the first 5 minutes. So Cynthia comes out and she says she basically loved being a friend on the show. Andy commended her on doing such a great job, moving story along, being really supportive, being a sounding board for the girls. And I have to agree, Cynthia did do a great job. And like I said, give that woman a raise in the friend capacity because she was one of the few people working this season. So I co-sign Cynthia getting a raise. So then we get on Porsha's package. She gets emotional right away. She's happy to have the house. She claims that she didn't call ICE. She still loved Simon. She divorced him because there was just so many untruths. I mean, you sounds like you met your match, but sure. And these untruths put her in danger, not physically, but in other ways. Kelly says that asking about Fallon was out of concern. And it was like, girl, I don't think not one person in the room or watching thought that was the case. Kelly, just say, girl, I just wanted to rattle you and I just wanted to be, silly and cheeky. Like, just cop to it. So, Porsha obviously clocks like, girl, you were not asking out of concern. And she tries to draw parallels between, her situation with Simon and Kelly's situation with her ex-husband. And Kelly said, don't do that. I was married for 11 years. You were married for 11 months. You're comparing peaches to apples. And Phaedra, under her breath, was like, no, apples, that's New York. I was like, yeah, I thought the same thing, Phaedra. So then Andy asked Porsha, why did she say she was going to F Charles? And she apologizes again, but then she tries to twist it like, oh, well, I apologize, but then Angela apologized because she asked me, she said things about my husband. Angela's like, girl, don't do that. She said, you started bringing up Charles earlier in the season, saying that you knew things about him, and you just always have my man's name in your mouth. Like, that's a problem. And And then Angela says that Shamia introduced Porsha and Simon, and Drew co-signed. When asked, Porsha stutters and pauses, but then she eventually denies it. And, the way she did it, I feel like it was really calculated. I think she was trying to throw Shamia under the bus without verbally throwing her under the bus. We did see a flashback from this season where Shamia said, "Oh, I was there when they met," but she never said I introduced them. But I will say I listened to another recap, and that person said that Porsha did say that Shamia introduced them in her spinoff. So it's just like Porsha lies so much, and we're gonna see. Actually, we have seen that Shamia doesn't always tell the truth either. It's almost a wash. It's just like, y'all need to be best friends again because y'all both lie. Like, enjoy your lies together and don't inflict that on anyone else. There was a viewer question about, why don't you just get back together with Dennis? Why don't you give Pilar a sibling with Dennis? And here goes Porsha. "Oh, he is just a jewel. I just needed him. I needed my co-parent during this trying time in my life." I can't stand people that like to pick people up and drop them whenever they feel like it and whenever it's emotionally convenient for them. When you were living the high life and married, it was Dennis couldn't even get a hold of you. And now that you are going through a divorce, now it's, I need him. I need his support. Don't film with him. No, that's my baby daddy. And now you want to have all these stipulations and ownership over him and using him as an emotional crutch. No. Mm-mm. Poor Dennis. Dennis puts up with a lot. Then someone brings up Drew calling Porsha's return to the show a flop. Where's the lie? Drew stands on it. She said, yeah, because she had other things going on, but instead she chose to talk about me. And, they have a little back and forth. And then Drew says, Simon says, "You have no storyline." I thought it was funny, but we all know it was probably rehearsed. So then it comes up about Drew trying to get with Dennis, and miraculously, Porsha doesn't have the text, the one that she said where Drew was trying to throw the cat at Dennis. Yeah, all of a sudden it's, I don't really know what she said. Oh, I don't have the text. I do remember what he said. And it's like, girl, once again, you're playing with somebody's family for what? There was a question that was like, hey, now that you've seen on the show that it was strictly business between Dennis and Drew, how do you feel about that? Do you realize that you were wrong? And instead of like copping to it fully, Porsha just jumps up and goes over to hug Drew. And Drew's better than me because it was so strategic and so fake. And it was like, you got dragged all season, Porsha, because everyone knew that you didn't have a storyline, that you were dragging this out, that you were being so immature and unreasonable. And you knew how the public felt about it, and you knew you had no argument. And so because you had no argument, you saw that people were pretty much on Drew's side in this. You were like, you just kind of surrendered and wanted to look like you were the bigger person and wanting to move on. And so you jumped up and gave her a hug. If I was Drew, I would have been like, we can move on, but after today, because today I'm going to tell you how I felt, because you're not going to sit here and run my name and my through the mud all season long talking about I'm effing your baby daddy. I'm trying to sleep with him for beats. I'm trying to film with him behind your back. I never try to reach out to you. I'm sleeping with the producer Black. I cheated on my husband with them in my marriage. You're not going to sit up here and either perpetuate or insinuate or flat out execute these lies about me and then jump up and give me a hug before I can fully address you. No. And Porsha knew what she was doing. It was strategic. And I hope Drew still holds her accountable in the rest of the reunion, because that was straight up foul what you did, Porsha. Especially someone with a crazy ex going through a divorce and everything I had mentioned in other recaps. You don't mess with someone when they're going into a custody battle and figuring out the settlement and things like that. You don't sit up here and throw all these allegations out, make it seem like she's a cheater and she's a this and she's a that. No. I hope Drew gets in your ass still. We can hug. Come on in. We can hug, but no, you go and get this fire the rest of the reunion. And then we can be cool. Then we can move on. Then after they hugged, Porsha did admit to purposely meeting with Ralph to talk about Drew and just wanting to be petty and just wanting to be petty and just get back at her. And it was just like, hallelujah, she told the truth about something, so thank you. And once again, that low-key throws Shamea under the bus because Shamea was riding for you and agreeing with your antics. And once again, Shamea, we see that you're a liar. So then we move on to Kelly. She explains the glam debacle with Brit. She basically didn't like that Brit took advantage of the situation. She tried to do something nice for her, but then she just kept using her. She kept using the glam. She kept doing too much. And it got almost to the point of like, well, dang, do you want to be me? Do you want my life? And so, like, I can see where that's annoying. I actually see both sides of that little fight. And then Porsha says that Brit, Kelly, and Shamea had an alliance to take Porsha down. I can see that. I can see that happening. I will say, right when Porsha exposed that, Shamea said, oh, no. Well, there was an alliance, but Porsha was in it. And I don't necessarily believe that. Yeah, if I had to pick between the two liars, Porsha and Shamea, I'm on Porsha's side for this one. Because that doesn't really make sense with the dynamics that we saw play out on the show. I really do think that Shamea was meeting up with the newbies, minus Angela, because she didn't really know Angela. She knew Kelly and Brit. So I believe it was Shamea, Kelly, and Brit. And it was like, okay, we need to make a splash. We're going to address my issues with Porsha. We're going to expose how she's fake on camera. You need to, confront Kenya, and we're going to take the vets down and we're going to make our splash and make our name on the show. You're going to ask Porsha why she took that lady's husband. And like, these are the things we're going to get in place so we can make our mark on the show. That seems more realistic than Porsha being a part of it. It's not impossible that Porsha was in this alliance, but I think Porsha out of the alliance and them going after some of the more seasoned girls makes more sense. So then Kelly is finally divorced. She's catching up on her payments so that she can open up her second location of the restaurant. And she says she's never going to be friends with Brit again. So that kind of wraps up Kelly's segment. Let me get to the Angela versus Phaedra, and they talk about the accusation that Angela said that Phaedra sent Marcus to have some rumor about her marriage on TV. I'm wondering why they brought this up so early. This was strange. Now that I think about it, this is part one of the reunion, and they're bringing up something that happened in the last two episodes. That's weird. I wonder where the rest of these episodes are going to go, because I don't know if they are purposely trying to avoid, the Kenya and Brit debacle, since that was so first half focused. Maybe that's what they're doing. But jumping to the last two episodes is a choice, right? Anyway, so they ask Angela about that accusation and why do you think it's Phaedra? Why are you so sure it's Phaedra? And Angela shows that there is a connection between Marcus and Phaedra. Basically, they have like a common person that like Phaedra went to high school with or would have known from Athens, or her family would have known. It was just like convoluted, once again, introducing all these people we don't know about or care about. It kind of fell flat because it didn't, like, who cares? Like, I went to school with people who did bad things and went to jail. I went to school with people who did great things and are thriving and super successful and famous. I went to school, like, so it's like, just because like I know someone who did X, that doesn't mean I'm involved with that person directly, right? And so Maybe there's going to be more evidence in part 2, but the part 1 evidence that we saw was like, okay. And Angela says to Phaedra, you just wanted to secure your spot in coming after me. And Phaedra said, well, I had a guaranteed contract. So Phaedra says she has a guaranteed contract. And I said, go ahead, more power to you. I don't know why. I really don't know what these executives see in her. But go for it, Phaedra. I ain't mad at you. And Angela calls out Porsha for once again foolishly, blindly believing Phaedra, when the last time she did that, that got her in big trouble with season 9 candy fiasco. So, that's it. I didn't love it. The women's outfits were horrendous. Porsha looked amazing. Like, everyone else did not look good. The makeup was really shimmery, like the body makeup and the fit, very shimmery and odd looking on camera. I feel like Kelly held her own and did well. Angela, you're losing steam. Come on, girl. Come on, MVP. Don't let me down, Angela. I have faith that you can turn this around, but it was a weak showing for how strong you've been through this whole season. So I need you to pick it up, Miss Angela. Porsha, I think that hug with Drew was fake. Drew, I'm gonna need you to wake up, and I'm gonna need you to clock Porsha the rest of the reunion and show Andy that you should not be on last chair. You are everyone's storyline, and you need to be farther up. That was it. Like I said, there wasn't a lot going on. Hopefully we hear more and we get to the bottom of this. Angela versus Phaedra. We shall see. But yeah, we just got to tune in for the next one. I appreciate you guys being here. Let me know your thoughts below. Like and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Mwah! Bye.